So you did everything right. You filled out the forms, mailed them off to the IRS, and you waited. But instead of getting that approval you were expecting, you got a rejection notice. It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to crack the code on ITIN rejections. We'll figure out exactly why this happens and map out the clearest path to finally getting your application approved. Does this notice look a little familiar? This is the CP567. It's the official letter from the IRS saying your application for an individual taxpayer identification number, the ITIN, has been denied. It can feel like a total dead end, but trust me, it's not. It's really just a signal that a critical piece of the puzzle is missing. And if you feel like you're caught in some kind of impossible loop, well, that's a very, very common feeling with this whole process. The rules can seem contradictory, the requirements are confusing, but don't worry. This explainer right here, this is your guide out of that loop. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into that rejection notice. Then we're going to talk about the bizarre application paradox that trips up almost everyone. We'll navigate the tricky documentation rules, expose some hidden rejection triggers you probably never saw coming, and then, most importantly, we'll lay out your strategic options to turn that rejection into an acceptance. First off, let's just put this whole thing in perspective. That number on your screen, that's not just some statistic. We're talking about over 250,000 people hitting the exact same wall you did last year. Your situation is incredibly common, which means the reasons for it are well understood and, better yet, totally fixable. At the center of this whole universe is this one document, the Form W-7. Now, its purpose is pretty simple. It's just to get a tax processing number for folks who have to file a U.S. tax return but aren't eligible for a Social Security number. The form itself looks easy enough, but it's operating inside a system of rules that are, well, they're not always obvious. And now brings us to what is, without a doubt, the biggest hurdle for most applicants. It's a logical trap, a classic catch-22 that honestly seems like it was designed to be impossible to solve. So let's break down what it actually is. This quote from an applicant just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the paradox. The rejection notice says you need to be on a tax return to get an ITIN, but the tax return instructions say you need an ITIN to be listed on it. It feels like you're just going in circles forever. So, how do you solve an unsolvable problem? Well, here it is. This slide reveals the secret. The key isn't doing one thing before the other, it's doing them at the exact same time. The IRS has a very specific procedure for this. First, you prepare the tax return, say the Form 1040, but you just leave the applicant's ITIN field blank. Then, you complete the Form W-7. Finally, and this is crucial, you attach the Form W-7 to the very front of the tax return and mail them in together as one single package. That simultaneous submission is the secret that breaks the... Okay, so you've solved the paradox. Great, but you're not out of the woods yet. There's another major failure point, the documentation. The IRS has incredibly strict rules about how you prove your identity and foreign status. And believe me, getting this wrong is an instant rejection. Now, this slide right here clarifies one of the most common and fatal documentation errors. A lot of people think certified and notarized are basically the same thing. To the IRS, they absolutely are not. The IRS will only accept original documents or a certified copy that comes directly from the agency that issued it, like a passport office. A notarized copy, where you just take a photocopy to a public notary, that's going to be flat out rejected every single time. And listen, mailing your original documents, like your passport, carries a huge risk. If the IRS can't get in touch with you for some reason, maybe there's an issue with the application or you moved, your documents might not get sent back. Just last year, the IRS ended up destroying almost 8,000 taxpayer documents for this reason. That's a massive gamble to take with something as important as a passport. Okay, so beyond the big paradox and the documentation rules, There are other sneakier triggers that cause rejections. These are the kinds of rules that aren't immediately obvious when you're just trying to fill out the forms. Here's a really important one. The IRS's default assumption is that you should have a social security number. The burden of proof is actually on you to prove that you're not eligible for one. For a lot of applicants, this means you have to go apply for an SSN first, get officially denied by the Social Security Administration, and then attach that official denial letter to your W-7 application. Without it, the IRS might just reject your request out of hand. And here's another crucial point. For a spouse or a dependent, the IRS needs a specific tax-related reason to issue an ITIN. It's not enough to just list them on the return. You have to be actively claiming an allowable tax benefit because of them, things like the credit for other dependents or the child care credit. The ITIN is a tool for tax administration, and the IRS won't issue one unless you can prove it's actually needed for that specific purpose. Okay, now that we've really analyzed all the problems, let's pivot and talk about the solutions. You have 3 official ways to submit your application, and understanding the pros and cons is absolutely key to choosing the safest path forward. This table lays it all out pretty clearly. You can mail your application, but that comes with that high risk of losing your documents we just talked about. Option 2, you can make an appointment at an IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center, or TAC. They'll verify your documents in person and hand them right back to you. Or option 3, you can use something called a Certifying Acceptance Agent, or CAA. So which way is best? Well, the data really speaks for itself here. Applications submitted by mail or even at an IRS office get rejected over 27% of the time. But look at the rejection rate for applications submitted through a certifying acceptance agent. It's less than half that, just over 12%. I mean, that is a massive difference. So what's their secret sauce? Why are CAAs so much more effective? It's because the IRS authorizes them to do 2 incredibly important things. First, they review your entire application package for accuracy, so they can catch those hidden triggers before you send it in. And second, and this is the game changer, they can verify your original documents themselves and then send copies to the IRS for you. That means you never have to mail your passport, completely eliminating that risk of it getting lost. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground, right? From the crazy paradox that traps so many people to the data that shows us the best strategies. So let's pull all these insights together into one final, actionable checklist. Okay, here is your plan. Number 1, you're gonna break the paradox by filing your W-7 times with your tax return. 2, get certified copies of your documents straight from the original agency. Never, ever notarized copies. 3, if you need to, prove you need an ITIN by attaching that SSN denial letter. 4, if you're applying for a dependent, make sure you're claiming a real tax benefit. And finally, number 5, to dramatically boost your chances and protect your documents, seriously consider using a certifying acceptance agent. You see, the ITIN application process isn't just a list of instructions to follow. It's a whole system with its own internal logic. And by understanding that logic, the paradoxes, the specific documentation rules, all the hidden requirements, you move from being a confused applicant to an informed one. You now have the knowledge you need to navigate the system. So the only question left is, are you ready to turn that rejection into an acceptance?